6. My best summer. One day, swimming in the pool, I was thinking about my best childhood summer. My parents always sent me along with my younger sister to the summer camp since I was 10. Usually 2 out of the 3 of my precious months, we spent in the camps. Sometimes at different ones in the summer. Once my sister and I were sent to Sochi, and we liked this camp best, of course, for being at the sea. I was only 11 years old then, and much been for the first time for me, an airplane, the sea, the palm trees. I had oceans of impressions. The Progress Camp was located in a school where Sevastyanov, the Soviet cosmonaut himself, was studying. The memorial plate on the school wall said about that. In fact, I hated camps, and my father was truly amazed by that. Why? He would ask in surprise, "Aren't you always well fed there?" Well, it made sense with my father. He, being the child of war and the youngest in a large family whose childhood was the one long and painful hunger, and whose dad, and my grandfather I've never known, despite the exemption, as a collective farming chairman, volunteered to go up the line. Very principle of him. It must have come from him, my pathological desire for honesty and justice. And he fought there in good faith, and, therefore, died there, as my Aunt Raya was telling me, right at the moment when he was raising his squadron for an assault. And his family was left orphaned and doomed to starve. Anyway, I was in the camp, well fed and looked after. By the way, remembering the food they fed us with, apparently, they had been stealing a lot in the camp's kitchen. My dad, despite his higher education and his natural ability to quickly solve problems of any complexity, his judgment of a character sucked, and he was a lousy teacher as well. He was very oppressive at home. Apparently that's a result of his childhood's deformed psyche, where he was the youngest and always suppressed by his numerous senior sisters. His only brother was old enough to get recruited for war, and later when he came back he actually replaced him, his father, and has become his role model and a true protector, and because of him nobody messed with my father any longer. That was my beloved Uncle Bob, by the way. Relationships with my father started to deteriorate, I believe, since I was 11, and never have recovered ever since. I always was scared of him. I wasn't doing too good at school, and I often was spanked by him really bad for that, so I never liked it whenever he was home. Whenever he was home, I was constantly depressed by the thought that he might remember to check my school diary with yet another F in it. He always scared me, but up until 11 I still loved him at least. I loved vacations for yet another reason. There were no diaries checking I had always feared. But the camps would certainly spoil my summer vacations. There was not much motivation to make friends there. Why bother for a month only? I would never see them again for the rest of my life. And those lineups, drills, paradings, boot and song shows. And those mandatory nap times, I could never sleep. It was then I had an accurate 2-hour time reference ever since. Man. It is a very long time block when you do nothing, just lie and wait for the wake-up call, especially when you are only 11. It was exactly the same time interval took to fly from Shevchenko. Many were coming to the camp from, to Mineralny Vody Airport by an 24 plane. As far as I can remember, there was some semblance of free time after dinner to bedtime. My relations with the groups, it always has been this way, in the army too, were not harmonious. At different times I could be an outcast and a leader of the same group. I wouldn't say that I was very fond of a fight, but, at times, I often had to do it, and luckily I had this stanza and almost never lost. They had to treat me with respect. The first summer we didn't go camping was in 1977, the year my younger brother was born. My parents probably no longer could not afford it, and it was the coolest summer I ever had. My last summer in Vincenti. The next year springtime we would move to the town. I have never been sent to a camp ever since, although, I was coming into his age when, I suspect, I would start to like it there. But it was the summer when I with my friend Jinya would go, walking on a single-track railway line, to the lake for swimming, fishing or boating whenever we wanted. That was then we had a fight with gypsy pushes and recaptured our fishing rods. I would write about it later here. That was when and why I finally learned to swim. I remember the day when I first swam to the boundary buoy and back, and since then I was like a normal kid who knew how to swim. Someday I will write separately about that lake. There was the primary life going on in the summertime. It had well-equipped beaches with a crush bar and a boat station, with bicycle and scooters for kids, and with that big megaphone on the lamppost playing the music all day long. Now it is an abandoned pond overgrown with reeds. We often spent nights at Eugene's attic listening to Radio Monte Carlo on Eugene's VEF shortwave transistor radio receiver. Up there inside Eugene's attic I found a tattered Jules Verne's Mysterious Island book and read it over. That very summer I got attached to my dog Liga I had not much interest in before, and now I was taking it along everywhere I would go to. Because I had read books about dogs, including famous ones like about Barry, Balto, Fido, Hachiko, Taro, and Jiro, and others with monuments. Perhaps, with these books, I became interested in animals too. Daily soccer games I played with Eugene and the other boys in our neighborhood. We also played the border guards. The local single railway line would serve us as our state frontier, and I, with my Liga dog, would be on its guard watching for intruders. At the corn season, planted for silage and grown 3 meters high, we immediately explored and located the best and most delicious ear corns. Man! A freshly boiled ear corn was really a good thing. Besides, uncut corn was a real jungle for us the 12-year boys. It was beating all the playgrounds we had known. In case of rare rains, Jinya and I were sitting at home, normally at Jinya's, painting our pictures with watercolors on military or space-related subjects. That summer I was poisoned with unripe apricots so bad I never ate them ever since. Most likely, I was poisoned not because they were underripe but because we never washed them and that apricot tree grew by a busy highway. By the way, it took me only once to get poisoned to give up an apricot that I never touched it ever since. And it never worked on me with alcohol, you know what I mean. Don't you? Anyway. That was a good summer.